We got married young. I was 25 and he was 24. We didn't have a clue who we were and what we really wanted. In some ways, it is a miracle that we are still together. Yet here we are, 28 years later. And you want to know the best part? I would say that I am more in love with him now than I have ever been. And the reason for that is because I am more in love with myself. Yep. You heard that right. Today, I'm going to show you how that is possible for you in your relationship. Welcome to Possibilities with me, Hina Khan. I'm a peak performance mindset coach, and I work with entrepreneurs, executives, CEOs. We help you create a life you love with ease, joy, and fun. The first time I saw Paul, we were in class together. He asked a question, and I turned around to see who was speaking. When I saw him, oh my gosh, I got weak in the knees, butterflies in my stomach. I felt lightheaded. All the things that could happen were happening. I was in love. Yep, it was love at first sight. Well, for me, anyways. After that, I would think about him a lot. Maybe obsessive, I don't know. And I would always try to be in the same vicinity as him to fake a chance encounter, like, oh, wow. Oh, imagine bumping into you here. Meanwhile, I'd been standing there waiting for him. Now, luckily, we did have some mutual friends, so I enrolled them in my vision of us dating. I asked them to first find out if he had a girlfriend, and he didn't. That's all I needed to know. Those same friends set us up on a date, and we would get married a few years later. There was a lot of passion at that time. He was like the most beautiful man I had ever seen. I was very attracted to him. He reminded me of Johnny Depp, but Johnny Depp from his 21 Jump Street days, like not current Johnny Depp, that Johnny Depp. And let's face it, in many ways, we were kids at that time. And so we're like passionate, in love, we get married, and we're both literally leaving our parents' home to go into our own home and create a life together. We had no clue what we were doing. So naturally, there were ups and downs and more ups. And then I think a couple good, solid years of downs. But we made it through all of that. And today, it's simply good. It's good all the time. I would say that right now, this is the best time in our marriage. And obviously, we have both changed in many ways, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and physically. My body has changed. The other day, I was about to go on stage when I noticed something on my arm. And I looked down, and because I was looking in a mirror, in a full-length mirror, and it was like there was some skin, and it was kind of hanging. And I had never noticed that before. And all of a sudden, I could see it because I was in the sleeveless jumpsuit. And then a few weeks before, I looked at my neck in the mirror, and I'm like, oh my Lord, I got some lines on my neck. And you know what it reminded me of? Like the inside of a tree trunk. You know the rings? I was like, that is my neck right now. And I laughed. It is what it is. It is what it is. And Paul has also changed, bless his heart. Oh my gosh. Now, instead of being compared to Johnny Depp, I don't really see this, but others compare him to Jimmy Kimmel. And he's got a lot of gray happening right now. But I am so attracted to him still. But this has been a conscious decision of how I choose to see him and how I create him in my mind. If you have heard me speak my I am statements, you've heard me say I am obsessed with my husband, Paul. He's the most interesting person I know. He is my smart, kind, good, and sexy king, and I am his queen. This is who I create him to be. This is how I think of him. This is how I show up to him. And this is how I experience him through this feeling about him. So let me take this a bit further. The other day, Paul was talking about something. I can't remember exactly what it was. But what I do know is that I was losing interest. I was fading. I started to think about other things. And then in that brief moment, I sent an internal reminder to myself. And I remembered that he is the most interesting person I know. And with that, I started to listen to him differently. I became present again. I actually remember shifting my body and leaning in and looking into his eyes. Again, this has nothing to do with him. This is me choosing how to be with him. In our early days, I would compare our relationship to others, and I had built up these other relationships to be better than my own without actually knowing what the heck is going on behind closed doors. So I stopped that. But I used to wish Paul was different, but I don't anymore. I once thought our relationship should look a certain way because that certain way would mean that it was a successful relationship. But I don't think that anymore. I think the way that it looks right now is perfect, and I think the way it will look 5 years from now is perfect. I also stopped looking for validation from others, and that includes Paul. In the beginning of this episode, I said that I am more in love with him now because I am more in love with myself. That shift also came from my I am statements. I always say I am that I love my body and I respect and I admire every inch of it. Internalizing this means I don't need Paul or anyone else to validate me. When he says, "You're looking good," that's just extra. I already know it. Necklines, a saggy skin, and all. And when I hear Paul say that I look good, I accept it. I don't question it. I'm not like, "Oh, no, really? Are you sure? But this or that." I'm just like, "Thank you." Could not agree more. I don't wonder if he's telling the truth because I feel I do. I'm not suspicious of it. I'm not listening to those words from a place of skepticism. I'm listening to those words from this worldview that I love my body, I respect and admire every inch of it, that he is the most interesting person I know, that I fall more and more in love with him every day, that he is my smart, kind, good, and sexy king, and I am his queen. So from that place, when he says, "I look good," I mean, of course he would think that. After all, I am his queen. If you have found this episode helpful and there's someone that comes to mind and you're like, "This person needs to hear this," will you do me a favor and share it with them? And of course, don't forget to download, subscribe, rate, review, do all the things, and I will see you here next time.